Okay, thank you, Chad. Okay, so the Gold Road story is about bringing online Australia's next major gold mine, which is centred on the 6 million ounce Gruyere discovery. I'll let you read that on the website. Okay, so I'll start with the management transition that's occurred in recent weeks. I started as the managing director last week, and Ian Murray is the outgoing MD, and he's in a transition process with myself over the next few months until the end of the year when he'll step off the board. A little bit about our capital structure. Currently sitting above 550 million Aussie, and we're well placed to bring the Gruyere deposit online. Okay, just a little bit about our institutional shareholder base. Unlike a lot of Australian companies, we have very good support in North America, with around about 40% of our shareholders dominated by major institutional investors in the US. So we've been through Beaver Creek and here this week. The Gold Road story is centred about the Yamarna Belt. The Yamarna Belt is the most eastern greenstone belt hosted in the Yilgarn of Western Australia, in which Gold Road controls a tenement portfolio of approximately 6,000 square kilometres over a strike length of around about 180 kilometres. It's the most remote belt, and unlike most of the Yilgarn lacked exploration through the late 1800s and early 1900s, and really there's only been exploration in that area in the last 30 years. That creates a huge opportunity for us as explorers and the developer of a major mine out in that province. So the company's story is pretty simple. It's about developing one of the two largest discoveries in the last 15 to 20 years made in Australia, the other large one being Tropicana, where I was previously involved in the exploration, studies, development, and initial general manager for the first 5 years of the operation. So I've joined Gold Road to really do a repeat of the same. The second part of our platform is really about making more discoveries in this poorly exploited belt. So our focus on the Gruyere joint venture. So Gold Road brought in Goldfields as our partner to help us develop the project, bringing in their expertise and their capital. So the purchase of a 50% interest substantially funds Gold Road's share of the operation. If we focus on Gruyere, the deposit, 5.8 million ounces, 3.5 million ounces in reserve. You can see on this picture the two orange-shaped areas, the 140 square kilometres that sits within the JV out of the remaining 6,000 square kilometres that we retain all of the exploration upside to. You can see the overall site layout of the village airstrip, where the mine is, and over to the left is the Golden Highway trend, where there's a number of satellite resources that will go through the same operation. We're currently doing some further exploration out around Montague and Ogos, and anticipate that we'll convert those into small reserves that will go through the plant through mine life. The deposit is incredibly simple. It's been hosted by a monzonite unit that's lenticular shaped and located within a large shear zone. It's easy to sample, rather homogeneous, and this gives us a high level of confidence in that we'll deliver what we say we're going to deliver when we open up the mine. It's also large scale. You can see we're looking at a pit that's 1.8 kilometres long. It's nearly 1 kilometre wide, and will go down ultimately to a depth of 385 metres. It's big. If I give you a bit of an update on the plant site construction, so as of a week or so ago, we've passed the 70, or nearly at the 70% mark in terms of the total project construction. All of the infrastructure aspects of the project are largely complete, so that includes things like building a remote village for a fly-in fly-out workforce, the airstrip, tailings dam, gas pipeline, powerhouse, have all been substantially completed. We now have some little bits of work left on bore fields, but the infrastructure is completed. The plant site is the main part of the picture here, which we've passed the halfway mark on construction. Tankage, as you can see with the CIL tanks in the centre of the picture, are complete. Structural steel, the fabrication will be completed late this month. We've got plate work that will continue into October. And the project really is at the phase where it's all about getting the manpower on site and bolting it all together. All of the major equipment has been procured. It's either on site or in Perth waiting to be shipped to site. You can see there are 6 cranes in this picture. The guys are hammering it. There's 300 guys working on the plant site during day shift, 70 on night shift, and we're in the peak stage of build, and we'll continue that way and through until Christmas this year. As we go into the first quarter of next year, we'll be into the operational readiness. We'll be into the wet and dry commissioning phase of the project and targeting first gold production in the second quarter. So I'll just give you a little bit of an overview of some of the key sort of parameters. So the project capital, $621 million. You note the Gold Road share is less than half of that. That's really driven by the structure of the joint venture agreement, where overruns on or cost escalation within the construction of Gruyere is borne by the joint venture partner, Goldfields. There are some cost increases to Gold Road that have occurred. Most of those are relating to scope change and optimisation of the project as we have developed the construction schedule. We're fully funded. Sitting at the end of June, we had $160 million in the bank account. There's about $130 million to spend remaining on the project. If you add in our ongoing exploration costs, some corporate costs, and initial JV operating costs, we expect to have a low drawdown of up to $20 million at the time of first gold production. Mining, the deposit's been grade controlled, drilled for the first couple of years of production. So as well as being a low-risk deposit, we've really taken out the geological risk by understanding it to the same level we will during mine operations. The mining contract has been awarded to Downers. Downers is a large open-pit mining contractor. I've worked with them in the past. The equipment for the operation is all identified. A lot of the personnel will be coming out of the Roy Hill operation, and indeed some of them will be coming out of the Sunrise Dam operation, where I was the general manager up until a week or so ago. So I naturally know some of the leadership team that will be coming into Gruyere. As I said, first gold production, second quarter. Would anticipate around about a 6-month ramp up to full-scale production. Then that puts us, based on the BFS, average production of around 270,000 ounces a year over a 13-year mine life. We'd expect to grow that a little and extend the mine life through exploration activities out in the Golden Highway trend that I spoke to before. We'll be in the lowest quartile of all-in sustaining cost. We're currently working through some details of the life of mine plan, and we'll have an update on that in the next quarter or in early 2019. That will bring in the satellite resources, the detail of the ramp-up schedule, and the grade control data that we have from the project. This is just, I'll run some comparative slides here. This is from some RBC research. Just shows where Gold Road sits to a peer group. So we'll be one of the lowest all-in sustaining cost producers. We've got one of the largest reserves. This may surprise some people, but we actually have one of the highest margin per ore tonne. So this is just looking at the in-situ value, taking out the mining costs. We actually have a high revenue per tonne. This is driven by a low strip ratio on the pit. If you look at where we are in terms of valuation ratios, currently we're sitting in the sort of pool of developers. We'd anticipate that we'd be over on the left-hand side of this graph once we're up in production. So there's a significant catalyst in the gold price for getting Gold Road up and developed with a smooth ramp up and getting us into the producer ranks. Now we're going to be producing a lot of cash, so free cash flow somewhere in the 70 to 80 million Aussie a year once Gruyere is in production. As I've indicated, we'll start with a very low level of debt. So that funds available to be distributed to shareholders. So what this graph does is breaks down how each dollar of revenue can, where it goes to. So obviously we've got to manage the operations, so we've got operating costs, ongoing capital costs and corporate costs, which take up the grey area of the slide. We have to pay state royalties and payments to the traditional owners. Ongoing exploration of around about 15 million a year. Obviously that can step up and down depending on our level of exploration success. But that leaves somewhere around 20 to 25 cents in the dollar to be returned to shareholders. That can be distributed in terms of organic growth, so reinvesting in our discoveries, or it can be paid out as shareholder dividends. We have around about 70 million Aussie dollars of franking credits. If I turn to the exploration, the broad brush strategy that we have is looking at developing multiple mining centres through this belt. It's 180 kilometres long. If you look at other greenstone belts in Australia, typically what you see is there's a mine around about every 30, 40 kilometres up the major regional structures. We really see there's no reason why Yamarna should be different from that. It's purely that we have less history of exploration in the belt. So first prize is that we can develop clusters or individual deposits of 1 to 2 million ounces in the northern end of the belt and the southern end of the belt and develop those as standalone operations. Further discoveries close to the Gruyere operation are more likely to go through that process plant. We turn to the exploration in the northern areas. Ibn Ez has been around for quite a while, and these are some of the grades. It's high grade, located as a vein and shear system on the contact between an andesite and volcanoclastic rocks over approximately 2 kilometres. If we can't get this developed as a standalone operation, it's the sort of grades that we can probably truck through to Gruyere and realise value out of it. Bloodwood is a 5 kilometre long soil air core anomaly. We've got one result at this stage of 4 metres at 9 grams per tonne. It needs further drilling where we need to go into with RC and diamond drilling next year. Romano, immediately north of Gruyere, again a large area, same geology as Gruyere, we're seeing the same structures, same host rocks. We'll be very surprised if we don't end up with a significant anomaly in that area that will need further drill testing. We turn to the southern area. This is more advanced, was previously in a joint venture with Sumitomo. Sumitomo was less keen to do RC and diamond drilling as we were, so we've been able to step up the rate of work on this part of our property since the beginning of this year. Smokebush, quartz vein system hosted within dolerites. As many people would know, dolerites in the Yilgarn are a preferred host for some of the bigger deposits. We're still drilling this at the moment, and there'll be an update on the results of the drill program once it's completed in the last quarter. Really, we've got a whole series of these resources through Wandari, Troppin Hill, Tramelane. As you can see, we've got extensive mineralisation over tens of kilometres along the Yamarna shear. So if I could wrap up and summarise, really we are ready and poised to become Australia's next major gold producer. We're fully funded. We've got a capable partner with Goldfields. We'll be in low-cost production in 12 months' time. We have very healthy margins once the operation is up in steady state, and that gives us the platform to grow the business, primarily through organic growth and to provide shareholder returns. Both of those are aspects that can really be a catalyst for share price escalation. The business is one of the few successful explorers in Australia, making one of the 2 largest discoveries in the last 15 to 20 years. We have an outstanding large ground position in a poorly explored greenstone belt, and we've got options in how we develop those future discoveries, either as standalone operations or leveraging off the construction of the plant at Gruyere. Thank you.